There is perhaps no spiritual concept more widely known and yet more completely misunderstood than karma. The word itself has escaped its Sanskrit roots, entered countless languages, and turned into a simplistic proverb. What goes around comes around. Good things happen to good people, bad things to bad ones. In the West, karma has degenerated into cosmic bookkeeping, a spiritual merit system that rewards and punishes people invisibly. For many, karma sounds like divine retribution disguised as physics, a moral law hanging over the head, ensuring that mistakes bring suffering and kindness brings reward. But in Tibetan Buddhism, this understanding is considered far too shallow. Karma, as the great masters explain it, is not punishment and not fate. It is far more subtle, compassionate, and profoundly psychological than the crude equation of sin and reward. To understand karma as Tibetans do is to understand how perception, intention, and awareness create reality itself moment by moment. It's not about external justice, it's about the architecture of consciousness. In Sanskrit, the word karma simply means action. But in Buddhist usage, action is never just physical. Karma means any intentional act of body, speech, or mind, any motion of will that leaves an imprint on consciousness. The Tibetan term is las, meaning energy in motion, habit energy, or cause in dynamic form. What propels the endless cycle of samsara, the world of suffering and rebirth, is precisely this accumulation of karmic tendencies, both wholesome and unwholesome. Yet here lies the key. Karma is not an external law operating from outside. There is no cosmic judge keeping score. Karma is self-created cause and effect happening inwardly, continuously, from moment to moment. Every thought, word, and action reshapes the pattern of perception, determining how reality will appear next. The field of experience is generated, conditioned, and interpreted through patterns of mind that are karmic echoes of our own past tendencies. Tibetan Buddhism explains this through 3 levels of karma: the immediate, the accumulative, and the ripened. Immediate karma produces instant mood shifts, the way anger alters your world instantly or kindness changes your perception in seconds. Accumulative karma builds tendencies, act often enough in the same way, and you reinforce grooves in your mental continuum that will reappear again and again. Ripened karma is the deep seed that finally blossoms as external circumstance: health, body type, social situation, emotional tone, natural affinities. But all these levels remain parts of the same continuum of mind. There is nothing mystical about it. Karma is simply the momentum of habit, compounded by ignorance of its own creation. One of the most illuminating points in Tibetan thought is that karma operates through perception as much as through action. The mind does not passively receive reality, it fabricates it. What you perceive is a projection of karmic conditioning. 10 people can look at the same event and have 10 different worlds because their karmic lenses differ. This insight leads to humbling empathy. Every experience, pleasant or unpleasant, is a reflection of mind's habits, not an external verdict imposed by gods or destiny. Dalai Lama often repeats that karma is the natural law of cause and effect applied to the mind. If you plant a seed of anger, even if no one else sees it, you have already shaped your future perception toward aggression and conflict. If you plant patience, your future world softens. Karma is not later rewards. It's the texture of awareness right now. Most people make the mistake of moralizing karma. They think of it as a cosmic karma police, punishing sinners and blessing saints. But Tibetan masters say that thinking of karma as morality enforced by the universe misses the point entirely. The Buddha never taught a moral deity behind the law of cause and effect. The system works impersonally, like gravity. If you drop a stone, it falls. You don't praise gravity for rewarding discipline or blame it for punishing negligence. Karma functions the same way. Intention combined with awareness always yields a result consistent with its nature. Harming others brings suffering not because anyone judges you, but because to harm is to solidify self and other, strengthening duality and fear in your own mind. Helping others brings joy because it loosens the boundary of self and other, restoring the natural spaciousness of awareness. In this view, karma is self-education, the universe teaching itself how to awaken. Perhaps the deepest misunderstanding about karma is the notion of deterministic fate. Many people think everything that happens is their karma, unstoppable destiny predetermined by past lives or deeds. Tibetan Buddhism rejects this fatalism completely. The masters insist that while causes from the past influence the present, they do not imprison you. Karma remains fluid, mutable, alive. You are shaping it every moment with your response. At any instant, conscious awareness has the power to interrupt karmic momentum. That interruption, that instant of presence, is called freedom. In other words, yes, your past creates your tendencies, but your present awareness creates your liberation. To say it's just my karma and surrender to despair is to misuse the teaching. The entire purpose of Dharma practice is to realize that karma can be purified, transformed, transcended through recognition. Purification of karma in Tibet is not about paying cosmic debt. It's about understanding cause deeply enough that its hold breaks. The simplest example lies in anger. When you are angry and you see that anger as a separate object, karma ripens unconsciously. You will act out, speak harshly, hurt others, and the habit multiplies. But if you recognize anger's nature in the moment, its energy self-liberates. It disappears into space. You have just seen karma dissolve. That is why Tibetan masters spend decades training students in mindfulness and direct recognition. When you see any emotion arise barefaced, you interrupt the chain reaction. This is how meditation purifies karma, not through ritual washing sins away, but through direct awareness, dismantling ignorance at its root. Tibetan Buddhism also adds an extraordinary dimension to the understanding of karmic time. In ordinary thinking, we imagine a linear timeline. Action causes result in the future, but advanced practitioners know karma doesn't operate through simple chronological cause and effect. Mind functions in nonlinear patterns. Past, present, and future interpenetrate like reflections in a crystal. A new realization now can rewire the entire field, retroactively transforming even memories of the past. That's why practices of confession and visualization work. They shift the energetic configuration of mind across time. The teaching, karma can change instantly, is not just faith. It emerges from direct experience that mind itself is timeless awareness, manifesting infinite patterns simultaneously. One of the cornerstone Tibetan texts, The Wheel of Life, depicts karma visually as beings trapped within the 6 realms of existence: gods, demigods, humans, animals, hungry ghosts, and hell beings, all driven by their dominant emotions. These realms are not literal places elsewhere but psychological landscapes that manifest when specific karmic patterns dominate consciousness. Envy projects the jealous god's realm, craving and fear project the hungry ghost state, ignorance embodies as animal dullness, while pride and pleasure birth godly realms that collapse when merit exhausts. You inhabit all 6 realms cyclically, within the course of a single day. Noticing that constant rotation is the beginning of liberation, awareness recognizes its own projections, loosens the grip, and freedom dawns amid the turning wheel. Another subtlety rarely understood is collective karma. Entire cultures, nations, or communities generate shared patterns of intention that shape their collective experience. Tibetan lamas often explain war, natural disaster, or social collapse as manifestations of collective karmic imbalance, not in the sense of punishment, but as collective lessons mirrored in the shared field of consciousness. Seeing world events through this lens transforms blame into responsibility. Humanity's shared suffering becomes an invitation to collective awakening, each individual contributing to planetary karma by purifying their intention. The misunderstanding of karma often hides a deeper psychological motive, a wish for justice. The human heart wants fairness. We hope good people will be rewarded and the wicked punished. But from the Tibetan point of view, this is still moral dualism, born of ego's insecurity. The Buddha's vision of karma transcends fairness entirely. Reality is not moral, but reflective. It mirrors consciousness precisely. To a mind filled with hatred, the world appears hostile. To a mind filled with compassion, The same world vibrates with benevolence. This understanding frees you from both cynicism and superstition. There is no unknown power dealing cards. There is the mirror of awareness showing you your own face. Imagine two people suffering illness. One interprets it karmically as punishment. I must have done something wrong. The other sees it as purification. Old habits are resolving through this body. Same event, completely different universe. The attitude determines freedom. True comprehension of karma shifts experience from victimhood to creative participation. You stop asking, "Why me?" and begin asking, "What can awaken through this?" That single question transforms suffering into path. Tibetan teachers emphasize this relentlessly. Whatever arises, use it for practice. Every appearance is karmic display, an opportunity for insight if met with awareness, rather than complaint. This is why Tibetan Buddhism emphasizes intention above all. The karmic weight of any act depends far more on the mind behind it than the action itself. Killing a mosquito carelessly while angry generates heavier karma than ending a suffering animal's life compassionately. Words spoken with love can heal. The same words, if driven by ego, harm. So the field of karma resides in the subtle layers of motivation. That's why advanced practitioners meditate constantly on bodhicitta, the awakened heart dedicated to all beings. Bodhicitta transforms the very structure of karma because it removes self-clinging from the equation. When motivation aims purely at others' welfare, karmic seeds burn up in the fire of openness. You still act, eat, work, speak. But those actions no longer reinforce the illusion of a solid self. Karma without self is karma without bondage. Another common misunderstanding stems from equating karma with fatalism and rebirth literally as cosmic recycling. Tibetan masters treat rebirth symbolically as well as literally. Moment by moment, you are reborn through each new thought. Each emotional reaction births a small universe populated by corresponding perceptions. When you grasp this directly, the traditional idea of many lifetimes becomes obvious. You have already lived and died 1,000 mental lives today alone. Karma determines each microbirth. Anger births a hell realm for a moment. Generosity births a radiant realm the next. The practitioner trains to remain awake through all of them until awareness stops being hypnotized by its own creations. In this state, karmic seeds may still arise, but they self-liberate instantly like snowflakes melting on warm hands. To address Western misinterpretation, Tibetan teachers also clarify that karma is not linear accounting across endless lifetimes. It's holographic. Each action contains all others. A single instant of pure awareness outweighs hundreds of lifetimes of confusion, because in that instant, you touch the timeless source of karma itself. That's why the Tibetan tradition emphasizes direct recognition practices like Dzogchen and Mahamudra. Meditation there is not about earning good karma, but seeing beyond it altogether. The analogy often used is that karma is like ripples on a vast lake. Awareness of the lake's stillness frees you from chasing each wave. Purification rituals like Vajrasattva practice exemplify this understanding. Reciting the 100-syllable mantra is not a bargain for forgiveness. It is a technique to evoke feminine wisdom energy that exposes and dissolves guilt. When confession happens sincerely, with awareness, remorse, and commitment not to repeat, the karmic pattern releases not by decree, but by insight. It is like seeing through a trick. Once you understand the magician's method, the illusion no longer deceives. Karma loses its mesmerizing power the moment you truly understand how it works. Modern psychology has started to confirm these insights through neuroscience. Habitual mental states carve neural pathways, repeated emotions condition perception. Gratitude practices alter brain chemistry toward resilience. Resentment hardens perception into victimhood. Tibetan Buddhism saw these laws of neuroplasticity centuries ago as karmic law. Karma is simply neuroplasticity on the scale of lifetimes. Every thought builds brain, and every recognition dismantles fixation. Awareness functions as the sculptor of worlds. Science describes synapses. Buddhism describes mind stream. They meet seamlessly here. The moral maturity arising from Tibetan understanding of karma carries immense compassion. Instead of blaming those who suffer, it's their karma. You understand that every being is caught in self-created webs of confusion. The appropriate response isn't judgment, but empathy. You've been caught in the same net for lifetimes. How could you condemn another fish still thrashing? True practitioners adopt the slogan, "May their suffering ripen in me," turning karma into compassion's vehicle. This is the Bodhisattva's radical vow, to transform every karmic force, pleasant or painful, into fuel for awakening all beings. In practical life, this view dissolves anxiety. You realize that circumstances themselves aren't enemies. Your interpretation is the maker of heaven or hell. Every coworker conflict, health challenge, or betrayal becomes practice ground. The moment awareness sees its own projections, karma transforms from sentence into teacher. This is the true freedom Tibetan masters embody, calm courage in the face of chaos because they've traced every chaos back to mind's own play. At advanced levels, Tibetan teachings go even further, declaring that from the ultimate standpoint there is no karma at all. Dzogchen view proclaims, karmic cause and effect appear only in dualistic perception. Within the expanse of Rigpa, primordial awareness, nothing ever happened, no one was born or died, no deeds to ripen, no fruits to bear. This is not denial of cause and effect, but seeing its illusory nature when mind wakes up. Just as a dream's drama vanishes upon waking without needing to be fixed, karmic entanglement dissolves entirely when awareness recognizes itself. Yet Tibetan masters caution, this insight must never justify unethical behavior. Until realization is stable, cause and effect still operate relatively. Hence their famous warning, view vast as sky, conduct fine as barley flour. Hold ultimate insight without abandoning compassionate discipline. Understanding karma this way changes everything. You stop fearing divine punishment or chasing rewards. You begin cultivating awareness simply because ignorance hurts and clarity heals. You become humble because you see that suffering is not accident but blind repetition. Every act, every thought contributes to the collective evolution of consciousness. The teaching becomes living ethics grounded in wisdom, not in fear. Karma ceases to be a cosmic rule to obey and becomes the mirror showing you precisely how to awaken. At last we see why Tibetan Buddhism insists most people misunderstand karma. They turn mystery into morality, energy into bookkeeping, freedom into fate. The true meaning is empowering. Karma reveals that there is never anyone to blame because you are the author and the liberator of every experience. You do not carry karma like stones on your back. You breathe it out each time you see clearly. Suffering becomes message, not punishment. Every encounter, whether joyous or painful, becomes immediacy calling awareness home. That understanding frees you not only from fear of the future, but from guilt about the past. Because seeing through illusion purifies it instantly. Karma misunderstood is prison. Karma recognized is freedom itself. And so Tibetan Buddhism invites you to live this truth daily. Watch your mind's movements as creative energy. Speak words only after sensing their consequence. Let every action become conscious offering. Then karma turns from invisible jailer into luminous teacher. You no longer plead for a better destiny. You build it with each thought. You no longer dread rebirth. You recognize rebirth happening right now as awareness taking fresh form. In the end, Tibet's masters whisper a truth both simple and cosmic. Karma is not what binds you. Misunderstanding karma is. When understanding dawns, nothing needs forgiveness because nothing was ever truly separate. The mirror of mind stands clear, infinite, compassionate, and free.